Morena.
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 Beautiful seeing you all arrive. Hey Dane, hey Lisa. Yeah. Lovely to see familiar and unfamiliar faces. Just give people a chance to keep arriving. Maybe as we're waiting, just also give yourself the gift of arriving. I can arrive into myself, into the space. It's a beautiful gift to give yourselves. Hey, Bindi. There's Karinia. Morena Karinia.
Morena Karinia.
Oh, morena koutou. Lovely to see you all.
Lovely to see you.
I think we start, Rihanna.
Okay. Morena te Maria whānau. We're going to have a little bit of a different start to our day today. So I'm going to do karakia timatanga and then sing a waiata before handing it over to Chloe. Ka pai. Lovely to see all your beautiful kanohi faces and also just to see everyone that's arrived this morning. So he karakia timatanga I noi tātou. Whiti ora ki te whai au ki te ao marama. Whiti ki runga, whiti ki raro, ingingu ki te pohatu, ingingu ki te rākau. Tētahi ki tēnei taha, te taha ki tērā taha, tihei mauri ora. Ko te aroha anō he wai, he pupo ake ana, he awa e mapuna mai ana, I roto I te whatu manawa. Ko tōna mata puna he hohonu, haina ia kare re anō. Ko tōna mata puna he hohonu, haina ia kare re anō. He tai timu, he tai pari, he tai ope, he tai roa, he tai nui, he tai nui, he tai nui. Over to you, Chloe.
Oh, kia ora. What a beautiful way to open our hui this morning. Thank you, Tuihana. So kia ora koutou katoa ko Chloe Howard Tokona. My name is Chloe and I'm an associate with the Centre for Social Impact. And I'd love to welcoming you here this morning to Atapuha Talks. So for those that don't know, this is a free program of workshops offered to the community sector by the Centre for Social Impact through support from Foundation North. So we've done a range of topics from grant writing, marketing, communications, innovation, collaboration, evaluation and wellbeing. And you can access all of the recordings of the earlier workshops and the slide decks from these sessions on the CSI website. And we'll post a link up to these. So we want to continue to make these sessions as accessible as possible because they've been oversubscribed. So you will note that we're recording and we will make them available on the Te Puha o Te Ako hub on the CSI website. And we also want to make sure that we continue to meet the needs of the sector. So at the end of the session, I'm going to be asking for your feedback via a survey link in the chat. This is really helpful for us. It informs any kind of future program delivery. Just one last thing before I introduce our session, I'd like to ask you all to take part in a very small poll. This is a short poll that will ask you if you've received funding from Foundation North in the last 2 years. Foundation North is supporting the series and they're really interested to see how many of their grantees are accessing these workshops. There we go. And today's workshop is actually the third in our Ngahere Nurturing Our Connectivity series. Don't worry if you've missed the first two, because Tui, Hannah and Louise will take you through those parts. And welcome back for those that have been here for the first two. So I'm going to settle back and I'm going to hand over to Louise and Tui Hannah.
Morena koutou, me mihi nui aroha ki koutou ko waio, nā toi rawa ko Pōtuketi whenua, nā tūhoi te rangatiratanga ko Louise Mara tuku ingoa, nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. So my name's Louise. It's beautiful to see familiar faces today that have been on the journey and yeah, as Chloe said, don't worry if you're new to this. So just a little bit from me, why are we doing this? Why are we offering this? And I work a lot in collective intergenerational trauma and a lot with the nervous system, the individual's nervous system, but the collective nervous systems. And we've wired such busyness and such pace and stress and tension into our systems that we actually need to kind of rewire that. And I work a lot between self and system, and the way we system as a verb. So this is to fill you up so that you fill up your systems. Like it's kind of in some ways the biggest colonization lie that we're all separate so that you can exhaust yourself to fill someone else up, when that's not exactly true. So how do we really fill up all our own cellular structure so that we plump out the systems we belong to, our whānau, our organizations. And we all need off-ramps. You know, we all need off-ramps to actually come back into a really essential connected place. And Tuihana will say something more about Ngahere, but Ngahere so points to the fabric of life in a way, and the interconnected fabric. And so much of kind of the wellness literature has been around individualizing wellness, whereas we're really around collectivizing wellness. And it's all about your connectivity to the natural world, but to your kind of essential self that's plugged in. So this challenge 6 by 1 is for you, your whānau, your organizations, that if you can 6 times a day for 1 minute, that's not much, get on an off ramp, fill yourself up with some joy and connectivity. That helps the collective nervous system rewire itself back into some wellness. So that's a little bit from me, and I'll pass to Tui Hana, and then we'll go over our ha moments for today.
E mihi ana ki a tātou. Tātou ka whakakotahi mai ki te kaupapa o Ngahere. Tēnā koutou, tēnā rā tātou katoa. Ko Tuihana ohi ahau no Ngaiterangi Ngāti Pukinga, no Ngāti Pikiao, Ngāti Uanuku Kopako, Ngā Roto i te rangi. Nā te arawa oku iwi. Kia ora everyone, I hail from beautiful Tauranga Moana, Tauranga Tangata. I have a real passion for the wellbeing space, and I see myself as a way of serving others in this space. And so it never really feels like mahi. It always feels like it's not only nurturing your heart, but also nurturing my own heart. So it's kind of aroha mai aroha atu. So love received is love given. And that's how I feel about these sessions today. So thank you for coming online today. It's, as I said, it's beautiful to see you all. The word Ngahere was actually gifted to us by a cousin of Louise's, actually, Chaz Doherty, who lives in the Whirinaki forest, which is the road that you enter as you go into the Iruweras. And he lives there, and he explained to me this word Ngahere is around this interconnectedness between us and everything from the taiao, so from the trees to the moss, from Papatūānuku, right up into Ranganui and all the atua and deities that surround us, and how there is this interconnectedness or this hononga between ourselves and the taiao, and how in this modern world we've really tried to detach ourselves from that connection. And from a Te Ao Māori perspective, we know we're intrinsically connected to the taiao. Often the taiao will depict what's actually going on within the maramataka. So yesterday the weather was really unpredictable. And if you actually looked to the maramataka, it was actually a time of unpredictability. So, and we would still encourage you to have some caution today as you go about your day, just because of the maramataka. It changes this evening into a space of focus, but it's around that interconnectedness from the maramataka, from the moon phases that influences the Ngahere and Papatūānuku, that therefore influences us. And we always come from it from a very collective way of thinking and being. And as Louise said, in this kind of modern world, we can tend to have this kind of individualized thinking. But from a Te Ao Māori perspective, it's very much tātou, you, me, all of us. And there's a collective way of thinking and being. And we say that out of respect for our tūpuna, our ancestors who came before us, and also those generations that are to come. So that's just a little bit of wisdom we thought we'd share with you this morning. And now I'll hand it back to Louise. Kia ora.
Kia ora. And we know, that this kind of sounds easier than it is. Hey, 6 times a day for 1 minute to do something that brings you joy and ease and plugs you back into the flow of life. Because otherwise there's a flow of life where we're all connected, and there's a disconnected flow of life, which is really kind of the traumatized version of life. And we know that that's a hard thing, and it's a new muscle to build in some ways for humanity, that we, these are urgent times, slow down, that we actually really take responsibility for where we're kind of plugging in. But we do know that it's a hard thing to do and sounds easier than it is. But I would just love to hear for some of you who've been on this journey this year, any experiences. You can put it in the chat, or you can come just unmute yourself. But is there anyone who'd be willing to share your failures? Let's fail together. Remember at the first one I said, look, you're going to fail. and we're going to keep building this muscle. So yeah, it's a really important thing that we do this together. So anyway, love to hear if anyone's experiences, if there's any experiences. Otherwise we get a bit disillusioned. No. Yeah, anything to share? Or for the new people just here today, anything, any responses to, this is what I've got to do 6 times a day. Pause, connect, come back into that essential place.
I was going to jump in, Louise. I know that's slightly left field, but in terms of as a team, because it was all very well us sharing this out, but we also wanted to see how we could do it. And one of the ways we've been trying is actually putting in as a calendar invite and a kind of moment in the day. And 6 feels very ambitious, but each day we aim for that. But even if we get 1 or 2 or 3, and Michelle, who's supports CSI, it was a really good way of having that reminder come up. So that was one way. And as a team, kind of trying to kind of share them across the team and collective encouragement. But yes, it's definitely ambitious, but love it.
It's funny that this is the new ambitious, isn't it? That we pause. It's such a cool thing if you can do it in meetings. Like everyone gets so tense in a meeting, and that's not optimal for connectivity. So that you can just pause in a meeting. You can pause at the beginning, give people a chance to arrive. You can pause during it, afterwards to let people digest. So yeah, you can put some music on in the workplace and just people move 6 times a day. Anyway, no questions or sharing. Okay, Tanya. Yay.
Kia ora. Yeah, I'm really new to the space, but loving it already. I am curious about what you actually do in the pause. I think it's a great idea. I used to have a 9 o'clock, a 12 o'clock, and a 3 o'clock, just a little alarm on my phone, just like check in how you're feeling. But are there some, you said play music or move or breathe? Is there just anything you can do to connect, or do you have some suggestions that, help somebody to drop in sooner than other times?
Beautiful. Yeah, so there's, the challenge is to do something that brings you joy and ease. The ease is important too, because the joy and ease together means you drop into that. We went over the nervous system in the first session, but it means you drop into the ventral vagal, or that place that can connect. There's a place in us that can connect, and there's actually places in us that can't, where we're frozen or in fight or flight. So there's so many things that you can do, and we encourage people to really experiment. What this process is about is around plugging yourself into this flow of life, to nature. So we've been sending out little recordings that you can do in your pause. So I think there's 6 so far, Chloe, and we're going to go through another 2 today. So then there'll be 8. Well, anyway, there's quite a few, and we'll keep sending them. But so you can use those to get yourself into it. Tuihana and I haven't been quite so disciplined to make them exactly 1 minute. But once you get to 1 minute, and then generally not more than 2 minutes, so they're kind of short. But yeah, this really filling up, plugging into life force. Why wouldn't you? Because then all your systems get more life force. So yeah, there's a whole lot you can do. When I'm at home, I just put on music, and I often just dance my state, because I get up, moving, I've got beautiful music. So I'm really just giving expression to the moment, but there's so many different things. But this series is also around really, plugging yourself into that flow of life. Good luck, Tanya. Love to hear next time. Anyone else been giving something a go? Any questions? It's always quite a shy bunch here. Anna.
Cara, morning. This is my first time here. So I'm just processing the idea of what that might look like. And I'm guessing that maybe taking 6 breaks a day to look at puppy videos on my phone might not be the right kind of connection, but that's the kind of distraction that's really easy to reach for. So yeah, I'm curious to learn more about some perhaps more awakening, more energizing, or connecting ways to take those pauses.
Yeah, beautiful, Anna. Yeah, yeah, we all do things like that, hey, and that's helpful to an extent, but yeah, starting to wire in some more embodied practices is just another layer. Hey, really connecting to our body system and filling, being aware of that filling up also helps it go into the broader systems we're in. So yeah, give something new a go. Give something new a go, but you don't have. You can still do that as well. Yeah.
I've got one, Louise.
Okay, great.
I'm part of like an online group on Monday nights, and that's what we always start with a deep breath in and dropping in, and it really does like change straight away. I feel it changes all the busyness drops away, and it's amazing how it helps us to focus on the kaupapa. So yeah, we just did that last night, so I thought I'd share that.
Oh, thanks, Dana. Beautiful. Yeah, because people come into a meeting fragmented in a way, like some of my energy's here, some's here, and if everyone comes in that way, how do we actually help people settle into this kaupapa, as Dana says, and get some resonance or coherence, which really helps the magic of life arrive? Nadine, love to hear from you.
Really enjoyed your sessions, found them so useful, and the recordings as well, and my manager's doing them as well. We've been trying to implement them, and we start off really well after your sessions, and then we just don't manage to keep going. We talk about it and we try and do more, but yeah, like you said, trying to get that muscle memory happening. But yeah, after your sessions, it's been so beneficial. Just thank you so much for them, and we are still trying, but we're not succeeding.
Well, you sound like the trying's important, hey? And I guess that's why we wanted to create this community. And I think Michelle's going to go through something at the end of how we might share more together and encourage each other. Because if we know, I'd really love that you all saw this as a core part of your mahi, filling up. I fill me up to fill you up. I fill me up to fill the team up. We fill our team up to fill the system up. The system doesn't need more exhaustion, burnout. It doesn't, honestly. So the more you can do this, like you say, in teams, but it's so easy to go, well, we don't really matter and they matter. But actually everyone matters in Tuatoru. So keep going. We're going to get there. It's a rewiring of a crazy hyper-individual system that we're having to reconnect, come back into. I fill me up, I fill you up. So yeah, I just really encourage you to keep, and you're here. You're here. Any other sharings, thoughts, questions?
Hello, Louise.
Hey, Paul, I was
Oh,
thinking
yeah. Hi, everybody. I just want to share I left a group which I formed 9 years ago, and uh, sometimes there's a lot of conflict of ideas, and because most of them are very traditional thinking, I'm trying to bring my liberal, progressive thinking, and so on. And so I combine with my friends, good friends, and my family members. Just these are toxic environment. Just left it 5 years ago. But I'm being stubborn. I keep on doing. But at the same time, I'm learning from them as well about human behavior from different groups of different individuals. And 2 months ago, I decided to resign from the group because I'm getting nowhere, and but I learned something. I don't try to blame them or blame myself, but maybe it's time I should leave. And I told, and one of them tried to persuade me to come back, and twice, like 5 years ago I left, but they tried to persuade me in that I'm a valuable member of the group, and this time they still want to persuade me, but I decided no, I have to say stop. And I told him, well, one door is closed, one door will be open for me somewhere. So I told them, and I wish them the best. And I have been putting out some of my project, my own autobiography of myself. I'm trying to write one, and my health as well, focus on my health and so on. And join you guys, not try to take responsibility too much, because I was a president, secretary, and all this vice president before. And I feel good, and yeah, I feel good myself. I'm getting better now, and my health is getting because of the stress. I try to practice what you guys what Luis was trying to say. Maybe in 2 years' time, I might go back, or I might do something, but at the break of 1 or 2 years, yeah. And I'm going home to Malaysia, to Sarawak for holidays, in 2 months, for 2 months to meet my family, to catch up with them. They're getting old, and so yeah, that's my sharing for today. I also been disillusioned with some of the members, but that's okay. That's life. Thank you, yeah, for hearing me out.
Thanks, Paul. And yeah, I'm so glad that you're taking care of yourself, and you're having a big car moment, a big pause moment. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to pass to Tuihana, and I think my cat's caught a mouse, which is why I'm looking slightly distracted. So when she starts, I'm going to go sort that.
Today our focus, well, it's always lovely to hear from Louise. So I just want to mahi to Louise and her wisdom, and thank you all for those that shared. Today our focus is on Whenua. This is such a I try not to get too emotional when I talk around Whenua, and I won't apologize if there's a few tears today, because if you ever meet me, I'm a bit of a tangi weto, a bit of a suki baba in real life. I often feel what others are feeling, but so the ha moment we're going to go through is to talk to Whenua, and of course, being Indigenous of Aotearoa, it has this amazing and wonderful connection. And I just want to share with you a little bit of a story. So I actually immigrated to Australia when I was 8.5, and my family have now been there for 45 years, but I've been back in Aotearoa for almost 23 years now. And I had this incredible calling to come home in 2000. And I wasn't quite sure what that was about, because I'd been brought up in a very Melbourne city life and really loved that life. And returning to Aotearoa, I wasn't quite sure what that meant or why I needed to return. But in those 23 years, it's been a journey of much. And I think the most beautiful thing that's coming to fruition after all this time of living back in Aotearoa is this real hononga and connection to whenua. And I am from Tauranga Moana, and there is this, there's this whare, this house that I always go to, and it sits on what I've recently learned is called taumata, and taumata is a little hill. And even now, as I'm talking to you, I'm standing on the deck of my auntie's whare, and I know that my great-grandparents lived on that. My grandfather, my koro, Rere Momo Monty Ohe, was brought up on that land with his brothers and sisters, of which he had, I think it was 11 or 13. And he was brought up there. His mother, Rongo was brought up there on the same whenua, and her parents, Haimwana and Wharapihi, also lived on this land. And if I look to the left-hand side, I see a massive makrokapa. And when my children were just little boys, they're like much older now, they ran under that makrokapa. They used to go and sit underneath there, and the pi waka waka would come and visit them as they sat under that makrokapa. And we found a horseshoe, and I've still got that horseshoe in our whare in Kirikiriroa. And but as I stand, you know, so I know the depth and the massive connection to that whenua. But as I look out to, and it sits on the bottom of one of our maunga, kopu kairoa. And if I look straight out across, I go like that, because I can see Mangatawa over here to my right, and then I can look down the hill and I can see one of our marae, Tahu Whakatiki, which sits right on the edge of Rangatawa, our moana, and I can see the sun sparkling on the sea. And then, but I know that just to the right-hand side is our urupa. And then I know just to the left, not too far, we cross the bridge over Waitao, our awa, and there is Whiti o Te Rangi, which is Ngāti Pukenga, which is our korals, you know, hononga te tauranga. So when I think about this whenua, it just brings such an incredible sense of peace. But more than that, I don't know why. It just came from nowhere. A real sense of belonging that for generations from Tuatoru and Ngahere came Meretaka and Kataraina, and from Meretaka and Haimoana came Kawate and Wharapehi, and from Kawate and Wharapehi came Rongo, and from Rongo and Hone came Rere Momo, and from Rere Momo and Tirikawa came my father, and then came me. My father, thank goodness, is still living on this land, but the generations of them all lie in that urupa, and there's such a strong sense of connection. And so whenua to me is incredibly important, but that's kind of been the last 23 years of kind of discovering that connection to that whenua. And so when Tanya asked about, you know, finding that place in that space, it's actually connecting, and it doesn't always have to be atinana. So I'm connecting to it through my wairua as I'm talking to you, and I can feel it so much within my soul, within my puku, within my heart, and also within the wairua of who I am, within the mauri of who I am. And I can really feel that. But not only do I feel the whenua, but I feel the presence of my ancestors. And they're saying to me, you're fine, you're good, you know, you are really good, you are really well, and continue to do what you're doing, and stand fast and stand strong in who you are. And when I feel a little bit kind of maybe a little bit wee wawa is what I call it. I always take myself to that place. And yes, it brings up tears, but tears of love, and actually tears of harikwa, so tears of joy, but an incredible sense of belonging. And so for me, when I think of whenua, that is where I go to, because I can see my awa going into the moana. I can see our maunga, and I can see our marae, and I can feel the presence of my tupuna, of my ancestors with me. And so when you have a ha moment, although it may be for a minute, and we're not restricted by a minute, but is to actually take your plate back, take yourself back to a place of belonging. And sometimes that's not always whenua. It can be a person, it can be people, it can be an object. But for me, it is definitely a place and a space. And that, I think, I give all of that to my indigeneity. But I also, European on my mother's side, and I wear my grandmother's engagement ring, my granny McKissick, her whakapapa stilo and Whitehorn, German and English, and I wear this every day to remind me of that connection to her. So for me, the connection to my McKissick family is through an object. My connection to my taha Māori, to my oihia whānau, to my feral whānau, to my Ramaka Kiwi whānau, to my Williams whānau, is through tauranga moana. And so when I talk about whenua, that is the place and the space. And I particularly love the Urupa, the cemetery, because that is where our ancestry lies and our whakapapa lies. And it just, although I may shed a few tears, it does fill my heart with joy. And I know we're in a phase of matariki, and the calling for matariki is to return home. And so this matariki, I'm taking myself home, back to Tauranga, to reconnect with that whenua again, but also to reconnect with that incredible whakapapa. So that's my little gift from me to you. And I hope that when I talk and share this with you, that it brings some remembrance or remembering of a place, a space, a person, people, or an object that also brings you an incredible sense of belonging. And in that, a sense of kia tau te rangamari, a sense of peace and love and healing. Over to you, Louise. Kia ora.
Kia ora Turihana. Yeah, so let's take that into doing a aha moment here, and we'll send you a recording. And our bodies are part of Papa Tuanuku, like our bodies are part of the earth. And we all have places of belonging that we can connect to. We might not know them yet. And if you feel some love and connection to a place, maybe just any place on this earth where you actually feel love and connection, and you bring that close now, that place also feels love and connection to you. We forget that we're part of such a living system of aroha atu, aroha mai. That's a flow of the universe in a way. So you can't really love a place without it also loving you. And that's a beautiful thing. And it doesn't mean we have ownership of a place or rights to that place, but because Papa Tuanuku wants all of us to connect, because this is a real thing in our time, that am I even allowed to connect? but actually we are connected. So we can find our threads back to either our birthplace, our own places of whakapapa, or our places of love. And there's such a love connection there, and that's a filling up place for you. Because it will be, you will be in relationship, love in motion. So let's just imagine that place that you love now. And I work a lot with trees. We did tree last time. So you might even, Tuihana mentioned the macrocarpa tree. You might imagine a tree or a place. And I want you to feel that you can bring that close right now. Bring it close. We so need this connectivity with Papatsuanuku to be able to refill, digest, reroute, and bring this connection into our systems. And I want you right now just to imagine that roots, feel into your feet first, feel into your feet. Notice your feet. And feel that thousands of small roots start growing down out of your feet, down through the floorboards and the structure of the building, down to meet the earth. And it can be where you're sitting, or it can be in this place you brought close. And then I want you to imagine that the earth invites you down. If yours is a tree, the trees invite us down. And these roots then start to go down into the earth, deep down. And they grow big and thick and strong and multiple root systems, and they intertwine with other root systems. And they kind of give you access to your earth body, a bigger body, which we all have and need. And anything can be digested through these roots. Imagine these roots just land deep down in the earth, maybe 100 kilometers in the warm body of the earth, just on a beautiful rock plateau. Then let's take some breaths from deep in the earth, right up into the trillions of cells of your body that they get to fill up with earth energy. And as you breathe out, they breathe out any tension or stressful experience or bracing and contracting and overwhelm down into the body of the earth. She knows how to make compost from that. Then we breathe in fresh earth energy, and imagine those trillions of cells filling up. Fill them up with earth energy. We're often filling them up with stress and tension, and then breathing out down through those roots. And on your next breath in of breathing this earth energy, imagine it fills up all your cells. And imagine it filling up the cells of your team, your whānau. As you breathe in, you send that signal that fills up the system around you. But not by bypassing you, through you. And really take some breaths through all your cells, imagining that going out. Breathing out stress or tension. Really with this intent of I fill me up, I fill you up, I fill me up, I fill my system up. Yeah, and just feeling how you feel now. Also noticing if you have what the barriers are to filling up. Are there any resistances? And we don't need to wrong them. We can just really notice them, bring them into our awareness. It could be, I don't deserve it, I don't have time, I don't matter. These are things we need to see. Because all of us need to turn on our medicine in this time. We all matter. We're all mattering. So that we kind of re-matter ourselves from this plump, filled up, generous place. So that's my ha moment. And you can do that in meetings, putting your roots down, taking some breaths. It's really beautiful to do before you go to bed, but in bed as you go to sleep, filling up, releasing stress and tension so that you don't have to stay awake, kind of obsessing about something. And, you know, it takes in some ways one grounded, connected person to be in the room, and that's in the room. So I often say to people, will that be you? But really inviting your teams to go, hey, could we just ground a little? And people talk about grounding, but often don't know what it means. It means connection to our bodies and to the earth body. And we join, you know, that people seen Avatar, you know how they plug in their hair to the, we actually can plug that into wherever we are to synchronize with that place. It's amazing. So, love you that you take this filling up, plugging in as a serious part of your mahi. And we'll email those ha moments to you today. So, yeah, any questions for me or Turihana about that, or Kate Pai? Yeah. 6 by 1, give it a go. Even if you only manage 3, but I'm not letting go of 6. Yeah, over to you, Chloe, or is it you, Chloe, or Michelle?
Yeah, kia ora. I always love these sessions, Louise, and so thankful and appreciative for them. I do want to let everyone know that we've got all the ha moments up on the website, so follow the links. We'll be sharing them. They've been formatted up, so with a beautiful illustration for each of them, and you can share them around, share them with your whānau, share them with your team, and hopefully, yeah. Michelle has also put up on here a link to a Facebook group. So what we're also offering out is a space for people to join the Facebook group, because we're really curious what ones work, what ones, how you build on these ha moments, what things you find resonates for you, what things you've tried. Like Nadine, you shared this morning, you know, a little bit of collective encouragement without any pressure to do that. So do check out the Facebook link. We'll be sending out an email with these links to people. It's also up on our website. Yeah, and I think, Michelle's popped the feedback survey in. Please do that if you've got time. It literally takes 2 minutes. And also we'll send that link. So lots of links will come out to you around following on from the session. I know we've run a little bit over, but we just have to do that sometimes. And so Tuihana, I'm going to pass to you to see if you can close us off with a karakia.
Yes, I shall close us off. With a karakia. So lovely to see you kanohi today. Inoi tātai. Kia tau te rangamare o te rangi e tū iho nei. O papatua anuku e tākoto nei. O te tai ao e awhi nei. Ki runga i a tātou, tihei mauri ora. Go well. Have a beautiful week, whānau. Ka kite.
Mauri ora. Yeah.